What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another action-packed edition of CPA Reviewed, the official podcast of another71.com. As always, I am your humble host, Jeff Elliott, a licensed CPA in the state of Kansas by the grace of God and to the chagrin of many. Happy Friday to you. Today is Friday, July 29th, 2016. So I have three things going right now. I have the regular audio podcast, I have the video podcast, and I am doing my initial foray into Facebook Live, which is kind of scary because it's live. So it's kind of like sausage. You don't really want to know how it's made, but so all right. On today's show, we have about 14 questions to answer. If you have a question, you can go to another71.com, click in the upper right-hand corner, click Ask Jeff, and it will hopefully appear in a future edition of the podcast. If you are on Facebook right now, you can say hey or go away and just be nice. The first time anyway. All right. Audrey writes in. She says, I made a 71 on my last attempt. BEC is my beast. Do you recommend focusing on what I know, or do I try to learn what I don't know? Well, my advice for a retake, whether you scored a 71 or a 74 or a 61, is that you need to start over from scratch. And because what happens is people who score like a 74 and then a month later they want to go in and take the exam again, and they just kind of go over some of their weaker areas. Well, they're not. So when they scored that 74, they were exam ready over many topics, and unless you go over those topics again, you are not exam ready. So I say that you need to start over from scratch, and so do everything that you did to score that 71 or 74 or 61, and then hit your weak areas. So BEC, let's say your weak areas are cost accounting or operations management or IT, and so do everything that you did to score the 71 and then really hit your weaker areas first. So you must start over from scratch. Muhammad writes in, and if you're on Facebook Live, say hey or don't. It's fine. Muhammad writes in, I have completed 129 hours at my university, so I'm short 21 hours and I have to finish this before November 2016. Do you have any suggestions to get this done? Due to the nature of my job, I can only do online courses. Okay, so this question comes up a lot in the another71.com forum. There are a couple of online courses that seem to be, or online schools that seem to be mentioned quite a bit. One is the University of Northern Alabama, and another one that comes to mind is LSU. If I were you, I'd go to the search box and the another71.com forum and type in 150 hours online college classes or whatever. Now, so once you figure out which online courses you like or which one you were going to go with, I would definitely call your State Board of Accountancy and probably also contact NASBA to make sure that these will, like your state coordinator for NASBA, make sure that these classes in this school will match exactly what you need for to get your requisite 150 hours for your state-specific licensing requirements. And if you're on Facebook Live and if you have a question, if you want to jump to the front of the line, I'll answer it. Bill says, I'm about to take BEC with regard to the written communication questions. Do you have any advice on how to prepare for the question that doesn't lead you to the technical content the question requires? I could work multiple choice for days at this point, but when it comes to explaining topics, I don't know if I will do a very good job of giving textbook definitions for things. For example, if they say a new hire doesn't understand activity-based costing, explain it to him or her. I don't know if I could do that. I would appreciate any insight. My impression, Bill, is that the written communications are first graded by computers. And the reason why I think that is because there's tens of thousands of people who take the CPA exam in any given testing window. And so it's not like they have, several thousand CPAs grading your written communication locked away in some room. So I'm pretty sure that they have some sort of computer algorithm that goes through and tests for grammar and tests for keywords. And so if you get into a situation where if you can't articulate the technical content, so if they ask you to mention or to discuss price elasticity of demand or something like that, and if you I don't really remember exactly what that is, well, you can toss in some keywords and try to give it the old college try and kind of, for lack of a better phrase, BS your way through it. So keywords, grammar, make sure you have no spelling errors or any grammar snafus, but throw in some keywords and just give it your best shot. Julie on Facebook Live says, just trying to get BEC under my belt, about to schedule my third try for the beginning of September. Okay. I'm from the old school, and so back in my day, you couldn't take an exam in September. That's why I paused. I'm like, September's a blackout month. No, it's not. Well, it is, but the first 10 days are not anymore. I made a 67 and a 68 the first 2 times. Just so discouraging. Well, so Julie, the question is, what are you doing differently from your 67 and 68 until now? If you're using the same study course, then how are you studying with it differently? Is it a matter of time? If the study course isn't getting it done for you, doesn't meet your learning requirements, are you getting a new course? And if you get a new course, are you going to study differently? And so those are some things to consider. You don't want to keep doing what what is it? The definition of insanity. If you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten, or something like that. So I think George Bush had it. George W. Bush messed up a famous quote one time too. But anyway, she's still using Becker multiple choice over and over and over. So one way to study is to hit multiple choice over and over and over, and then eventually, as you on your 100th cost accounting question, you will start to start to build up a foundation of knowledge over cost accounting, and then you'll start scoring in the 70s and 80s, and that's fine. But if you find that you're doing multiple choice over and over and over just because you simply hate the content and don't want to sit down and read it, that could be a problem. I went through that myself, for regulation, AMT and like kind exchanges and things like that. So boring, and I didn't want to sit down and study it, so I just kind of do some multiple choice questions, and hopefully it all just works out on exam day. And it didn't work out on exam day. I got back-to-back 74s and lost my FAR credit. So make sure that you're not doing multiple choice questions in lieu of just slowing down and learning the concepts and doing it right and going in and passing. Is that helpful? Caleb says, I have reg tomorrow. I feel pretty good on most topics. Do you have any suggestions for topics, commonly missed topics, to look over today for a last-minute review? I would have your basis questions. So property contributed to a corporation, property contributed to a partnership. I would know those. Those are just kind of your bread and butter. Everyone hates like kind exchanges, and so like kind exchanges when there's a liability swap involved. So is that helpful? Julie says that helps. Yeah. I probably need to actually sit down and read more and absorb it. And that's normal. So this is July. You still have another, well, you said you're taking it in September. So yeah, just slow down. You'll be fine. So, Caleb, I hope that was helpful. And if anyone else has any questions, you can jump in. Elsie says, oh, Monica, I'm trying to pass FAR for the second time beginning in September. I got a 53, but only got to review 30% of the material. 30% of the material. I have your audio material from January 2016, which is great, but I'm not sure if there's anything I should ignore with any most recent updates. I'm using Wiley CPA Excel, working full-time, have a 9-year-old, I'm finishing a master's degree, just finding it difficult to dedicate as much time studying. What would be the focus with not much study time available? I want to pass this time. So Monica's taking FAR for the second time in September, got a 53 the last time. I don't think you can pass FAR with just kind of skipping over some areas. It's one of those things where it's better to. So taking it at the beginning of September, everyone's busy. Everyone has, or a lot of people have family. I had 3 kids when I was studying. We all have Little League, church requirements, church functions, job requirements, philanthropic endeavors, etc. And so it's a matter of budgeting your time and prioritizing. So you're finishing a master's degree. That's a lot. And so the question is, should you hit pause on FAR, finish the master's, and then jump in? It's probably what I would do. Edgardo has auditing on Monday, ninja mode, so today's Friday. So I guess this weekend, hit your multiple choice questions hard and study your notes, figure out what your weakest topics are in auditing and work backwards. So good luck to you, Edgardo. Kristen says, still on Facebook Live. A bunch of people jumping in now, which is cool. And I don't know if you can see in the video, my neck got red. My neck gets blotchy when I get nervous. So it's like my poker tell. So yeah, I don't know why. When I get nervous, my neck gets blotchy. I can't hide it. So yeah, I'm studying. I'm nervous because I don't want to screw up, but I'm studying for FAR, and I'm so. And I don't want to say something that I can't take back because it's live. I'm studying for FAR, and I'm so overwhelmed with all of the topics. Is there anything I can spend less time learning and put more study time towards an important topic? Okay, so when I passed FAR, I went in and this is not a best practice, but I went in and took it without studying not-for-profit accounting. And that's not advisable because that's like 10% of your grade. Your bread and butter topics are inventory, bonds, governmental accounting, and the rest are not coming to mind. But if you had to skip something, I don't know, I might skip like pensions, which is probably like, if you skip pensions, you'll probably get a ton of questions on pensions. So going back to my earlier answer, I don't think you can really skip stuff. I think you need to really slow down and like prioritize your time. If you're running into a time crunch, then you might need to reschedule your exam. And Rami says, how much time would you recommend for regulation? I would do 7 weeks or so, about 130 hours, so 20 hours a week. Monica's laughing about me about my neck. And Omar says, it's about time you're on Facebook Live. Yeah. Okay. Keep the conversation going, everyone. Appreciate it. Jumping back in. See, I have my questions to fill the gaps. That's my little secret. Elsie says, I have FAR in 15 days, and I last read my Becker material in December. I took FAR in January and failed it. What's your advice for me now, besides studying? What approach can I take to pass the exam? I leave the country in September and can't move my exam since I have regulation left to do as well. I'm not working at the moment. That's good. Thank you for your help. Well, I would push your exam back and then push regulation back, regardless of whether or not you're leaving the country, because I don't think you can study for FAR in 15 days unless you... if you studied 50 hours a week and put in 100 hours for FAR, just pedal to the metal, you could do it. That does not sound like a very good 2 weeks to me, though. Okay, task-based simulations versus document review simulations. So document review simulations are new. You may or may not get them. They may or may not be pre-test. But you're definitely going to get your task-based simulations. You can go to aicpa.org under the CPA exam area, under their sample exam, which they need to make it Mac friendly. Hello. But you can do a practice DRS. Anna says, I'm an international candidate and need help with studying for multiple parts at one time. I'm not organized. As you can imagine, it gets quite costly to travel to the U.S. to sit for an exam part and from the Caribbean. This includes hotel, airfare, car rental, U.S. visa fees, in addition to study material costs, registration, and exam fees. I cannot afford to take one section at a time like U.S. students, considering my self-imposed time crunch. Do you have any advice? I obviously was not an international candidate, and I did not study for two parts at once. I tried it once, didn't really work out. And so I don't have a plan for having to do that because that does not sound like a good time to me. However, there's been lots of international students who have passed that have been in the forum, and I would go to the another71.com forum and search for international study tips. Let me see if I can find some links for you and link below this video when it ends up coming out. So that will, but you can go to another71. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to the another71.com forum and search for it there. But I'll make sure to drop some links as well. And Jennifer agrees with the AICPA's sample test on the Mac. You have to use parallels. So you have to buy parallel. If you have a Mac, you have to buy parallels, and then you have to buy Windows 10, and just to be able to run the sample thing. So, and other people have had DRS, and their DRSs didn't think it was too bad. So, and Jennifer says that, and I've seen that in the forum as well. I've been telling people that's not a big deal. So it sounds really scary, but I don't think it is. Martha says, I haven't passed a section yet, and it's frustrating. Regulation twice, pretty far off. Auditing twice, 55, and then took it Tuesday and waiting for the score. FAR twice, 61, 68. I have not tried BEC yet. Tried another course and didn't like it. Used Ninja MCQ and audio, and I loved it. Wait, it didn't say that. But she used Ninja MCQ and audio for the second FAR take in the last auditing section. It's formatted a lot easier to grasp. Okay. Martha, if you don't like your study course right now, you need to get a new study course. So if you must have videos, then Ninja will not be for you. So there's other video courses out there, and you need to ignore online reviews or whatever and do their demos and see if you like them. You can download the CPA exam survival guide. Go to another71.com forum /free, and I give some tips on how to pick a CPA review course recommend any. I just tell you like what things to look out for. Learning style, refund policy, usage restrictions, features, benefits, etc. Not benefits, but features. So, if you're going to stick with Ninja, you need to get the Ninja book, which conveniently I don't sell standalone anymore. I rolled it into the combo. So, but if you don't want to get a book, you could use Ninja MCQ as like your standalone course and study it like you're studying a video course or reading a book. People have done that, and it's probably not a best practice, but people do it. They have passed. There's been several people on the forum that have passed just with the Ninja book and Ninja MCQ. But if you need a video course, you'll need to get another program. But I think it's time to change. I guess the bottom line for you is it's time to change study courses and your approach just with that many exams under your belt. So Martha says, I don't like videos, and that's why I love Ninja. I love the Ninja audio so much better. Well, thank you. Ninja audio is still a supplement. I mean, it gives you your 30,000 foot view. You definitely need the Ninja MCQ or whatever software. I mean, this isn't going to be a spammy marketing session. Whatever software you want to use, you can dig into it and use it as your study course, and make sure that you read the explanations thoroughly after you work each question. On my iPad here, the screen's real big, so I can see myself and really big, but the comments are scrolling. So Omar says, work MCQ until you faint. I agree. I say until you barf and you hate life, but yeah. So Tim says, there's a chance I might have to retake auditing for a third time. Got a 71 on the last try. I've used Roger for lectures and Ninja MCQ. I reset my Ninja MCQ and got an 86%, but I still found during my retake certain MCQs tripped me up more than I thought they would, and the sims especially were beyond hair pulling. Using Research tab only helps so much for the simulations. Any advice on how to shape things up for a potential third attempt at regulation? Well, you can be as prepared as anyone else and still have questions trip you up on exam day, especially if you trigger the more difficult testlets. So your exam starts on medium difficulty, and if you do well, you'll ratchet up into the difficult testlets, and so that's normal. So, but to switch it up, okay, so you're using Ninja MCQ. Make sure that you're hitting the review phase. So you have your adaptive learning and then hit the review phase. And I don't think you said whether or not you did that. And as Omar said, do MCQs until you faint or barf. And Alex says, is Ninja a good standalone course, or should it be coupled with another guide? Ninja is a standalone course. So if you don't want videos and don't want to pay for videos, then Ninja is a standalone course, because what a video course does is it takes like a 1,000-page FAR book and tells you what 400 pages you should skip. Well, Ninja book just gets rid of all those pages that you don't need to read or that you should skip. So in that regard, it is a full video course, or it is a full course, standalone course. There are benefits from having a live lecturer, although it's not a real efficient use of time, because there's a lot of inefficiencies in video lectures. Just, it's the difference between like a long form video where someone is just blabbing like I am right now, and people who are really good at their YouTube channel and have, they're a YouTube celebrity or whatever, like they really edit out their video. So it's just like bam, 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 bam. And so it's like rapid fire. And so video courses don't do that. It's just, they hit record, they have all their oohs and ums and oopses, and, that's 50 hours of content. So Ninja is a standalone course. It's not for everyone. probably go to, but it should be, right? Go to another71.com and /free, and you'll see all the demos and see if you like it and compare that to some of the other options out there. So, Hannah, I'm taking my first exam, which is FAR, on Tuesday. I'm very nervous. Any advice on what to do the day before your exam? Okay. Hannah, first of all, don't be nervous, because everyone and their mom is nervous before their first exam, their third exam, their 28th exam. It's very nerve-wracking. You are very likely more prepared than what you think you are. 50% of the people who roll into FAR pass it every day, give or take. And if you're well prepared, there's no reason why you're not going to be one of those 50%. The day before your exam, I am a big fan of studying up until the bell. So the day before your exam, take off work. I'd study a ton and really hit your multiple choice questions hard, especially working over your weaker areas. And I recommend taking an exam like at the 1 o'clock session so you can study the morning before. I'm a huge fan of cramming. So those 8 o'clock exams, not for me. So you'll be fine. Why are you called Another 71? That's a great question. So when I was taking the exam, I failed BEC for the third time in a row. You scoring a 71. And like anyone else who scores back-to-back 71s, I started a website about it, and because clearly that's what was missing from my life, so that I could pass. I started an online blog about it, another71.com. Never intended for it to be a business or anything other than just like an online diary, and it blew up. If I intended for it to be a business or for me to be a quasi/de facto authority in the space, which most people still can't believe and hate that, but I would have called it like you can pass the CPA exam firsttime.com or something. But so there's a bit of irony in having a failed score as a part of the website name for a website that's about passing. So anyway, that's why I'm called Another 71. I should have called it Another 99, right? So you're welcome, Hannah. Monica says, so we talked about stopping masters. She says, I only have 2 courses left for my master's finishing this fall, but I want to get the CPA done before the 2017 changes. Okay, so the CPA exam changes, they happen in April of 2017, so a little bit of time. And there's something to be said about like doing like a few things well and then finishing them and moving on to the next one. So, it sounds like you have a family and your master's degree and studying for FAR. So if you can finish up the master's classes, so it's 2 classes, if you can finish those up and study for FAR and put in the requisite 20 hours a week, then I think that's okay. All right. How's this going so far, everyone? It's going okay, I hope. Brennan says, I used Becker videos and had to switch to Ninja MCQ to really nail down my stuff. I was wondering if you had a regulation, individual tax, or a corporate AMT lecture that may help. I can't wrap my head around it. I hope all is well. Yeah, I have a regulation, individual tax blitz. So I hit regulation, or I hit individual tax and regulation pretty hard, mostly because I like it more than corporate. I actually hit corporate pretty well too, but corporate AMT, that's one of those topics that's like, it's a lot of stuff to memorize, and I recommend just understanding the basics about it, because you could, you can spend a lot of time on it and not get a lot of in-depth questions about it, but you know that you're going to get, that's corporate AMT, you know that you're going to get a lot of individual tax questions. So, and so yeah, there's the Ninja Blitz videos, or I think the free demo Ninja Notes is over individual tax. So if you go to another71.com, I should know that, but I forget. You should go to another71.com/free, and you can see the individual tax notes for reg. And if it's not individual tax, I apologize for just lying to you. So I hope that helps. Hello, Brian Kessler. It is the Blue Yeti. Brian Kessler of CPAexamguide.com, everyone. So hopefully he will name drop me on his podcast. Okay. You're welcome, Martha. Monica says, is it imperative to write your own notes? Is it imperative to write your own notes? No. So some people just don't like taking notes, and they flat out refuse to do it, so they highlight in their book. And so if you're not going to write your own notes, then you need to rewrite someone's notes. So you might as well rewrite my notes, right? There's something about rewriting the material. So it's why people much smarter than I say that your brain information sticks in your brain better if you write stuff out versus if you type it. So you don't have to take your own notes, but you need to write some notes. Or if your materials have an outline, like rewrite the outline. You obviously don't want to rewrite the whole book. And CPA exam lectures are boring anyway, so you might as well take notes. So the moral of that story is highlighting effective? No, it's not. For one thing, and I mean this is just anecdotally, like, are you really? So you go through your book and you're highlighting this and highlighting that. Are you really going to go back through your book and reread each page, each highlight? You're like, okay, so you might do that for the first 10 pages, and you're like, done. So no, you're not going to. And in my CPA exam survival guide, I think I cite some Harvard study, because if you cite a Harvard study, then obviously it backs up your point, right? So no, highlighting is not effective. Nasif says, hi Jeff, after one has passed the CPA exam, is there a time limit by which to complete the 150 credit education requirement and the 1-year experience requirement for the CPA license? Okay, so anyone who would give you a blanket answer over this is doing you a huge disservice, because it's a uniform exam, but each state has their own licensing requirements, and so you need to know specifically what your state requires, and you can go on the state's website, and there's probably a bunch of legalese about it. Pick up the phone, call your state board of accountancy, and make sure that you get it from an authoritative source. Can you tell us about your own CPA exam experience? Started in 2005. I was a lazy butt. My wife said, so 3 years later, she's like, either do it, do or do not. There is no try. Star Wars fans like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to stop being a lazy butt, because I would come home from work and I would do what any good CPA candidate would do, is I would play Madden, and then a week before my exam, I would start studying and I'd go in and take the exam. And it didn't really work out for me. And so hence the name, Another 71. And so once I got my butt in gear, and then I believe I passed each section on my next try, aside from the back-to-back 74s in regulation, which caused me to lose my FAR credit, and then I passed FAR on my next try. So my problem was work ethic, and so thankfully you can fix work ethic. So, or most people can. Thankfully, I did, with a little bit of motivation from my wife. Because let's face it, studying for the CPA exam, it's like, sorry, honey, can't make it to the family reunion. I have an exam to study for. So, but once you pass, you lose that excuse. Theo says, I've been reading your blog for about 6 months now, and was wondering if I could get your advice on what my next step should be. I just got my score back for BEC and scored a 74. I took FAR again for the second time in May and got a 73. It's really frustrating to be so close to passing twice, but not close enough. I really want to quit, honestly, but I'm so close. I feel like I should keep on trying. I'm restudying for FAR. However, I already purchased regulation and auditing, talking about an NTS. They both expired in October. What do you suggest? Continue studying for FAR and then move on to BEC, or switch over to regulation and auditing since I already paid for those? I read your blog post on retakes and have already made changes based on what you suggested. I have a scheduled time of 30 hours per week studying. So this is late July and you have already paid for regulation and auditing. I would study for regulation and take regulation like sometime in early September. So sometime between September 1st and 10th. And then I would jump into, so whenever your NTS expires for auditing in October, take it before that. And then jump into FAR and BEC. So, sorry kids. Yeah, sorry kids. I can't put you to bed tonight and read 5 bedtime stories. I've got to study. You should instead read your FAR book to them. They will go to sleep. Crystal says, not certain if this is a fair question to ask of you or if you can provide any insight, but I have read and heard many different opinions about whether Becker and Ninja will adequately prepare me for FAR. I'm using both and find that the questions from the Wiley book emphasize different areas than Becker. Needless to say, I'm a bit worried about being prepared for my August 29th exam. Okay. So, first of all, I think that you can use, for the most part, you can use just about any course and pass, okay? Because, a debit is a debit, a credit is a credit. Most courses use AI CPA questions, and so the difference is marketing budget, instructor mannerisms, delivery format. Does it have a book like Ninja MCQ, or is it a Ninja book, or do they have videos? And different courses emphasize different things over different topics. And so, yeah, you can use Becker and Ninja. You can use Becker and Wiley. You can use Wiley and Ninja. And people pass just using one of those 3. And so it's all about what your comfort level is. And just when you make your analysis, make sure that you don't allow your sunk cost to get in the way of good exam decisions. So if you've already paid for one course and it's not working out for you, then don't keep using that course because you've already paid for it. Because you're going to rack up exam fees and you're going to miss out on your life. And your time is worth more than money. And so yeah, you can pass with pretty much any combination. I am very partial and biased, and so I think adding Ninja to any course is an excellent idea. Okay. Is there any specific target you need, back on Facebook Live, is there any specific target you need to hit for your MCQs, adaptive learning to work? You need to hit 35% of the overall material. So, yeah, when you do a live video, you can't edit out your voice cracks, which at age 38 keep happening for some reason. But that's okay. Keely says, I'm taking BEC in less than 2 weeks, and I'm afraid that I'm a little bit behind on purchasing the Ninja Notes or MCQ, but I was not aware of this service until recently. I think that I'm going to purchase the BEC MCQ by itself for now, see how I like it. I'm afraid that it's too late for the notes for BEC because it says to read them 5 times with 2 weeks left, and I'm in the window. With only being 2 weeks out, is there any other product you would suggest? Okay. So 2 weeks out, if you already like your multiple choice questions, and if you still have multiple choice questions left to do in your software, then get Ninja Notes. If you don't like your multiple choice questions, or if you've already done most of them, then get Ninja MCQ. If you're 3 weeks out, then then get both. But 2 weeks out, if you get Ninja Notes, only get them if you're going to spend a week and rewrite them, and then spend your final week reviewing. So not to make every other question in here a marketing related question. That's just how they came in. Alex says, you mentioned major changes coming up for the exam. Is that something you would discuss briefly here, or is it too vast? The changes come in April of 2017. So the examiners are changing up the format of the exam. So it's going to be more case study / more simulation heavy. But content-wise, it's not going to change. I mean, they're going to move around the CSO, which it's not even called a CSO anymore. It's going to be called a blueprint. So they're going to shift, something out of reg and over into auditing, or get rid of it altogether. And so some of the content is going to move around, but conceptually, leases are leases, bonds are bonds, corporate AMT is corporate AMT. None of that's going to change. It's just it's going to be more simulation focused, but they're still going to have MCQs, and I will eventually do an update, like an informational update over some of the changes, but it's not going to be a huge deal. If you see my video on Facebook about the world coming to an end in 2017, it's just for kicks and giggles. So, but more on that to come. Can you choose the topics that you do in your MCQ? If you have Ninja MCQ, yes, you can choose custom plus sims and drill down into your specific topic. Samuel says, the thing that is annoying in Ninja MCQs is that I did not finish all the MCQs, and every time doing MCQs, I see so many questions repeating, which I answered before correctly, so don't have a lot of time doing questions more than 2 or 3 times, and didn't finish all the MCQs. Okay, I don't know specifically what's going on there, but my guess would be that the adaptive learning is feeding you questions over and over, or if you're doing a session with 100 questions, but you're drilling down into a topic that only has 30 questions, that will happen. Or it's just glitching out on you. That's possible. But one thing that you can do is you can do a session and select new questions only. AJ on Facebook Live says, can you give some tips on BEC written communication? Well, so the people who typically struggle with written communication are normally people who have English as a second language. So, and that's not everyone. There's people who are like, what? I speak English just fine, Jeff, and I'm not very good at it either. So how dare you? I just happen to be a semi-decent writer, and a very good BSer. And so if you throw some keywords in there and act like you halfway have a command of the technical material, that's one way to get yourself out of it in a jam. But the key is to understand conceptually and do well on the multiple choice, understand the multiple choice questions, because really the written communications, it's just you articulating into words a particular topic that you should already know, hopefully. And one thing that I've recommended is, especially for people with an English as a second language, is to go to the another71.com forum and type out a sample essay and ask people to grade it. And the people there are very kind. So you're welcome, Samuel. So Monica says, so you can hit the 30% topic while choosing specific topics you want to work in the Ninja MCQ. Yes. Tatiana says, I need books for auditing and BEC. Are your books online or can I get hard copies? The books are PDFs and they're electronic. And if you want to see what they look like, go to another71.com/book. And so you asked about auditing and BEC. So BEC, you get 100 pages of econ for free and I think about 30 pages of engagement acceptance. It's the full engagement acceptance and the full econ chapters for free. Check them out to see if you love them or hate them. And all right, you're welcome, Monica and AJ. Margaret Ann writes in, I failed regulation. I'm at a loss and I'm so sick of studying. I feel like I will never pass. Any strategies for passing and motivation to study when all I can do is fail? Since I failed, I lost my BEC credit on top of it. Margaret Ann, I know what it's like to lose a section and how disheartening it can be. I lost my FAR credit and I seriously considered quitting. And because it's one thing to lose a section, it's another thing to lose FAR. So it's important to take inventory of how you're studying, what you're studying with, and also your study schedule. And like, I think if you're giving it your all or if you're just kind of taking shortcuts. My guess is that you're taking shortcuts because after you fail, it's easy to just take shortcuts because you're sick of it. One thing you might do is, since you're sick of regulation, go back to BEC since you have to pass it anyway. You have to repass BEC anyway, and you're going to have to retake FAR from scratch anyway. So it's likely that you need a break. Millie, which I hope I'm saying your name right, says, on Facebook Live, which would you say is the toughest section of the 4? Well, I think FAR is the toughest, but I think that there are certain topics within each exam that are very hard. So I think people underestimate BEC the most, but BEC actually has the highest pass rate. So, which is kind of weird. And you see people complaining about BEC the most, and maybe it's because they don't take it as seriously. But I think FAR is by far the hardest. So, but different people struggle with different exams. So, but I think FAR is the hardest. I want to get Ninja MCQs and notes. Any discount codes? I don't have discount codes. I don't even have a promo code box anymore. But I just have everyday low prices. That's probably someone's slogan. Probably infringement. No coupon codes. Just hopefully low prices. Tell you what. If you tell you what. If you get Ninja MCQ and Ninja Notes, shoot me an email, support@another71.com. That's my help desk, and I answer emails there. It helps me just to get them, helps my customer emails not get mixed up with the spam that hits my inbox. For some reason, I'm on some like pot mailing list, so I get emails about cannabis, like all these emails. Like I'm on some pot mailing list, and so I'm like, please stop sending me pot emails. So I'm in Kansas, not Colorado. So anyway, if you buy the MCQ and the notes, email me and I will send you the MCQ audio for free. And that goes for Monica and anyone else who's listening to this and wants to do that. So the email is support@another71.com. Ninja Sims do not have the document review simulations at this point, and I don't know if they will be coming. So just from a technical standpoint, just not working out. If you want to but if you want to go to the AI CPA sample section, you can practice one there. So Monica, again, support at another71.com. And anyone else, if you get the Ninja MCQ and Ninja Notes because you're listening to this, and I'll send you the MCQ audio for free, which is a full-length audio practice exam. So if you can stand the sound of my voice, then I think you'll find it beneficial. Kevin says, I'm 49 and almost nailed this exam about 5 years ago, except life threw me some curveballs and I had to deviate away from studying. All right, time to nail this once and for all and get my career to the next level. I appreciate some of the other posts I've read, especially knowing that it is possible at 49 with a wife, kids, house, etc. to study and pass the CPA. But how do I start? I'm looking for some advice on what courses or materials others may recommend in my situation. Kevin, the good news is the advice for age 49 versus the advice for age 29 is basically the same. The only difference is if you haven't taken any accounting classes for a while, you might need to spend a little bit more time studying. But let's face it, people who graduate at 22, work for 2 years, go get their 150 hours, if the last time they took a governmental accounting class was at age 22, and it's not like we all remember governmental accounting at age 29 unless we work in it, so we have to restudy it. So you're fine. Go to another71.com keep saying that, another71.com/free, and you'll get my CPA exam survival guide. And in that is how to choose a CPA exam course. I don't give any recommendations about a particular course. That's up to you. But tips on how to pick a course, things to watch out for, learning style, delivery method, etc., etc. And make sure that you test drive at least 3 courses, including Ninja, before you make your decision. So Alex says, does Ninja have Facebook Live, does Ninja have something similar to the Becker Promise where if we fail in the exam updates, we get updated study materials? Ninja has always come with free updates until you pass. So I'm of the mindset that if you buy something and you get free updates until it accomplishes the goal to which it was originally intended. So I give you free updates until you pass, and as long as you can show that you're still taking the exam, either by like a year later, so a year after your purchase, show me your NTS or proof of no credit, I'll send you the updates, no problem. The only thing that has a timer is Ninja MCQ, just because I simply can't leave online MCQ access open indefinitely, because just you can't have a million different people on there. Slows down the server, yada yada. So then Ninja MCQ is the only thing that has timer. What about the DRS? Ninja does not have DRS. So they have sims. They have like 270 some sims and 8 million questions. No, not really. Like 6,000 plus questions. Monica says, I am the best. Thank you. This is the best podcast ever. She says, thank you. Barbara, final question of the day, and then we'll wrap up with any more Facebook Live questions. Barbara says, I just had my BEC exam today. I'd like to ask your opinion. In the exam, if the timer is done, would the exam automatically stop and exit the test lid? Because a while ago, when the timer was already at 0, I was able to delete a word for a split second and hit submit. I'm afraid that my essay won't be counted or disregarded because I didn't hit submit on time. I would appreciate your opinion. I've been stressing out about it all day. I wouldn't worry about it. I think that if there was any type of a glitch, I can't say with authority, but I'm fairly confident that it got counted. There's been several times where I was in the middle of an essay, way back in my day when we had to walk uphill both ways and take the exam barefoot in the snow, and I've now become one of those old people. Back in my day. So I'm sure you're fine. Okay, wrapping up on Facebook Live. If you have any questions, get them in now. Monica says about the Ninja Audio and in January 2016, would I need an update for FAR, BEC, or auditing? No. Regulation? Yes. Email again, support at another71.com. So when you get your Ninja Notes and Ninja MCQ and you're emailing me about your free MCQ audio, if you have the Ninja Reg audio, then also ask for the update there. Millie says thank you. Very helpful. Go Ninja. Thank you, Millie. And all right, last call. Any questions? All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And be good, everyone. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks again.